we have made our appointments with our respective therapists, and we are back for what is the final map of VALORANT North American Challengers Open Qualifier Bracket 2, powered by Zippo. 10 rank. K, you know this!
Oh yeah, we gotta get straight into it. This is one of the hardest series to predict and really call for. As a caster, you're looking at the board and you're like, okay, this is how it's gonna start. This should be how it ends. But realistically speaking, right, macro, micro, whatever you want to say about these last two maps, it really comes down to who can take the most advantage in the mid-rounding. The calls being made have been wacky and wild. Sometimes they don't make a lot of sense, especially that final round. But here's the thing, right? The gunplay carries it. They're able to make it work. More teams than not could never get away with the shenanigans that we've been seeing in this matchup. But it's amazing. It works so well with the cohesion of both teams. The chemistry and the calls have been on point through and through. And for 10 rank, this final map, this was the one that went to overtime the last time these two played, just yesterday.
Yeah, this is the one that went more of a distance than either of the games did. Such is the way of Split, but I don't think we could ask for a better way to set the stage at this point. Thinking Men having their stage, having their spotlight on Sunset, proving how well they are able to read Blinn Esports across the board. They still did that here despite a pretty lackluster attack. But man, oh man, when Blinn is allowed to be outrageous, when Blinn is allowed to get aggressive, Okeanos can do stuff like that. And Blinn can do stuff like swipe this game away from Thinking Men. It's a question of, can this beast be let out of the cage? Or do Thinking Men have their finger on the pulse enough? And for Split, for extra super wackadoodle time, it is impossible to know.
Yeah. I mean, look, Ascent, you can predict a lot of the major plays, right? But again, both teams played so unpredictably. But one common factor has been, this has been a big struggling attack-sided series. Sunset was a little bit better. We saw some struggles on the defense. Ascent for both teams, a huge struggle on the attack. But more often than not, Split can be fairly defender-sided, depending on what the agent composition will be. I'm not expecting either team to bring out necessarily the double dive. The big critical changes that we had seen the last time Oki played Raze, Pain played Jet. We saw the difference between the Omen and the Astra. That will probably continue into today. No major changes I'm expecting to see happen, but what I am expecting to see is just more wackiness, more straight up gunfights in mid-rounding that frankly defy logic at times, but it's so entertaining and it works so well that it does make sense.
Over the course of these three matches, I think at the end of all of this strat talk, because like you said, it devolves, or not devolves, I guess evolves, I guess progresses to, raw gunfights in the end and better trading and better reaction time. So we've gotten to kind of discuss this looming threat of a player that kind of hangs over the heads each time. For a place like Sunset, it was mainly Okeanos. For Ascent, it was mainly Paint, although we kind of switched narratives there a little bit.
Yeah.
Here, it tends to be Mikey, who put a big old 30 piece on his name tag here on Split the previous time that Blinn faced off against Thinking Men. It's what got them over the line to face off against Core in their first attempt at contention. I don't know if Mikey's going to do that again here, but considering that he's the MVP of the previous game, as he was last time as well, he's certainly, he's primed up to do it. He looks like he is ready to carry this kill feed again.
I think Mikey's been the most consistent player in this entire series, and when we're looking at the big span of all the times these two teams have faced each other, he's probably the most consistent player out of all of them, at least in this matchup. Paint, I think, and Oki do have a strong argument there as well. We've seen a lot of ace potential coming out from Spaz, Teague, Monsi, a whole bunch of different players all throughout the last 2 days. But Mikey, again, look, if B-site Ascent was his domain, he's got A-site Split completely locked down. But again, we don't know what the agents are going to be looking like yet. There could be some radical changes. I think it's still for safety. No major changes whatsoever. But again, if you are watching and you're a big fan of any of these teams, both, none, one or the other, watch out for the mid-rounding. That is where the magic of these rounds is going to occur.
Yeah, mid-rounding and mid-map, really. That's where a lot of the magic has had to take place for these teams. And it's not necessarily because that's where the fights have happened. It's just where the extensions have evolved. On Sunset, we saw a lot of the attacks bridge up into top steps and then sort of back out to split that defense a little more, which is, you know, par for the course a lot of the time. And of course, for Ascent, it was those approaches from Pizza into Market that those teams had to sort of parse out chunk by chunk. But it's the guessing game that comes with it. Is there an op here? Is there an initiator here that kept the teams on their toes a lot of the time? Here on Split, that's not as much of a guarantee. There is probably going to be somebody in vents, and there is probably going to be someone in tower, and there is probably going to be someone peeking in mid every single round. It doesn't necessarily come down to execution there first, but we're certainly going to see some action happen there almost every round.
Well, let's think about the info gathering alongside that too, right? We're going to be going to Agent Select relatively soon. Double initiators have been the premise of both of those last two maps. This time though, at least from what we'd seen before, it was just Sky, not a lot of hard information, only reliant on 2 flashes for info and stall, and then the dog right on top. There's not a lot to work off of here for information. That means more contact-facing plays, more sprays through smokes. That's going to make entries a lot more difficult. And look, we've seen some teams struggle a lot facing against those smokes with the Phantoms on the other side. You can't see those tracers, but I am just very stoked to see what the agent selection is going to look like.
When we last saw this, we talked about the fact that Anderson was on the Astra with Vix on the Sage, and we thought that in particular was a bit of a weird cohesiveness that Thinking Men were going for. It did work, I think, by the end of things. I think Anderson's star placement was ultimately very effective. The Nebulas were very helpful, especially in tower control and just making sure that the mid rounds weren't as much of a question. But that kind of scratches against what Blinn has been leaning into for their playstyle. And with them starting out on attack, which granted Thinking Men did choose, I don't know if Anderson or Vix is gonna have like time to deal with this kind of thing. So I feel like we're going to see even more proactivity come from Vix, which granted, he was already playing super proactively on the defense. But I wonder how heavily Anderson is going to lean into trying to enable people like Paint and Lear from ramp and tower like immediately rather than that mid round.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call to make, right? Because the entire premise for Thinking Men's defense is just stalling power. You have the slow orbs, the wall coming from Sage. Anderson, of course, has his stars, but even the subsequent utility that comes along with it, the Gravity Well, the Nova Pulse, that's going to be great stalling procedure too. It's going to be a tough shout, because if you're Vix, you know those walls will come up, and by the end of that defensive series, they were being torn down almost as soon as they came up. Blinn, if they had done their homework here, and I'm hoping they did, they should know to break that wall instantaneously, and if they can remove Vix from the equation these early rounds, that's going to mean that Sage won't be a problem much later on. But, of course, we talk about the stall, Tenrek. There's also the trap-style plays that come alongside Anderson's utility. You have the Gravity Well, Paint has his nades, Reformed with the Snake Bites on top of it. There's still a lot more utility cohesion to work off of. But also remember, you don't have a Cypher either. You don't really have a lot of stalling power outside of just the pure utility of Sage. This is super old school for Split.
Yeah, speaking of Cypher, let's talk about Mikey and how he's going to impact this game.
I mean, what else is there to talk about with him?
That, talking about how Blinn operates specifically on the A site, it's pretty cut and dry for how this team tends to approach these pushes, and that's where they'll start here as well. But Mikey has always been the X factor. Is he going to lurk? Is he going to play the front line? Usually the front line, but he has been such a wild card compared to what is normally such a vanilla W key gaming moment from Blinn College. He is the one thing I think that Thinking Men have to keep out of their heads, at least in the pistol round, especially considering how strong Blinn's pistols have been. No immediate wall thrown up here by Monsi, who has put up that conditioning wall up A site most rounds, but instead he'll slow lurk B, make some noise, cause some attention diversion, and have Thinking Men wait on the other end of things. Good mid presence from Pain. He's able to turn that into 2, make it 3. Goodness me! Blind out of Teague to make it so that streak finishes, but the damage might already be done.
Yeah, so much of your attacking prowess is gone. Oki and Teague, one flash to work with here for the entry. Nah, not even. It's a mowdown. Teague may have a chance of respite here if he can get this flash off on 2. Double kill trace? No, not even. It's that swing. All for naught for the round. Really good read though from Thinking Men. Things were scary at first. They had gambled this B side, very fast aggressive attack coming over from Blinn. They gambled wrong, all relying on Vix. The wall came up. Pistols aren't as strong as rifles, so the wall doesn't come down immediately. There was still the setup, of course, from Spaz and Co. inside of mid, but they had fallen to the hands of Lear and company, who pushed up mid, and that's not something we had seen really much at all from their defense early on. They saved the round by taking out the Hydra, not even by its neck, but the whole body itself, ensuring those rotates could not happen, that we know Blinn loved to take.
Yeah, going straight to the sauce. That is something that Thinking Men need to treasure, because they're not going to get to do that every time. Mid-presence is something that Blinn loves to call their own once they get their hands on guns. But till that point, as Thinking Men have gathered, that is not necessarily the case as much, though. So, good early presence, not only to make sure that Mon sees lurk, which is also a pretty constant factor for Blinn's attack that Thinking Men are going to try and get their hands on, but the remainder of that push-up main is that much, you know, a bit more stunted going forward now.
Point of value is going to be taking advantage of mid and vents. No Cypher util, some smokes to work with. Look how deep that initial smoke will be from Thinking Men. That's going to mean you have to use utility if you're Blinn to get past that initial smoke. You can't face check it. That's going to require T to use one of those one of those only one valuable flashes in their arsenal.
Oh, just the spray through the smoke. Certainly, why not?
No util needed. The whole group is there.
Yeah, everybody's just going to hop on out. They understand that Anderson will be forced to back away, and so they need to just play the fight up tower. They know it's one they're probably going to lose. They will, at least for now. Monty's just going to walk in. Yeah, Paint knows that he's the only one that could be there. Knows that the only other one is in tower. It's T gets reformed. It's Thinking Men with a flawless round 2.
These are some of the quickest rounds we've seen this whole series, but this is where the fun really begins. Now, Blinn have full rifles. Their attacking rounds looked pretty solid in the past when we go back on Ascent, but, you know, at the times, though, early rounds they look good. Struggles throughout in the mid into late round. We haven't seen what the mid or late round really looks like yet on Split. It's been a big shutdown inside of mid. The last 2 rounds, big weapon disadvantage, of course, into that last round against Blinn. But now that they have full rifles, a default can work out very effectively. Look at that initial star in sewers. Is that a smoke? Yeah, it is. They're cutting off and finding info inside of Ramen. They're severing Blinn once again defensively and just slowing down this onslaught.
It's a good way to, you know, kind of adapt their strengths on Sunset, where a lot of your defense is just about skidding and not stopping.
Okay, good smoke. Again, that pressure's there from Paint inside events. Full expectations is the rush down into A-side heaven.
An event push. Okeanos is more so. So Blinn have their pick now. And so it's a choose your own adventure game for a moment here. Oh, Lear read like a book. Forced the double swing from Vix, who is able to pick up 2. And so that leaves enough time for Reform to now take the reins on the vent swing, which might be perfectly timed. Mikey, look out, buddy! Ooh, man! Reformed actually takes a good chunk of damage there, too.
Does he pick up a Vandal?
I think he will,
yes, he does. Yeah, there we go. Anderson's still unknown. Not clear just yet. Monty's appearance, though, blocked out by that Viper wall.
Monty's taking deep here. Spaz picked out.
Oh, he's elbow.
Monty has not been found out. This is a massive rotation that's going to end up to the backside. Yeah, there's no way he's looking this way, right? Oh, he is, dude. Just in time. Monty has to double check. Unfortunate, but very much so for Thinking Men, who make it 3-0 on the defense.
I mean, again, just this pure util dump and just spray through inside of mid has worked out so well for Blinn. Their prime focus has been, okay, pressure A and B. Let's see if anyone pushes up. No, mid. And this is where that smoke from Anderson comes in really handy. He's changing it up round after round. 2 rounds ago, it was deep in mid, just as you see in the mini-map here. Last round, cutting off sewers. It forced out some more info gathering util from both sides to figure out where you can get the drop. So this time, though, I don't think Anderson can get away with smoking and spraying. There has to be an immediate response now from Blinn. They have to disrespect this smoke. Okay, a good start. Smoke for smoke. No man's land. Anderson's domain. Nobody pushes yet. There's a hole open, though, that he might be able to take advantage of, but Formed also sees that. No, too. Okay, never mind.
Oh, and Vix
Mikey.
doesn't expect Mike to double dip. That's so good from Mikey. Once again. And the crowd goes wild. Mikey! And everyone throws flowers on stage, and Mikey scratches off a lottery ticket on stage, and he wins $1 million from the lottery. Mikey!
Having control now. Paint by themselves. Flashed out. Full util.
Paint's gonna get super crunched here. Yeah, it's just too much presence from Blinn. So it's gonna be a 3v5 in the end of things. Thinking, man, they have to really check their corners. Dog has already let fly for Link here because the smoke is tossed in. T tosses it back for the drop. Perfect timing onto Anderson. Bye-bye, buddy. Now Reform looking for the opening pick. Double swing out from Link is actually kind of successful to a point where Reform tries to hold the spray. I love that idea. But in the end, it's Blinn who grabbed the Thrifty and the fourth.
Honestly, you could not ask for a better round if you're Blinn. Yeah, you're down 3 rounds, that's not great, but a thrifty win to take all the guns away from Thinking Men and pick up some of them? Yeah, you're living the high life right now. That's amazing. But again, these early reads have become slightly readable. Reformed almost took that fight against Mikey. Had he just been able to dedicate those shots, could have been a different reality. Unfortunately, though, it's been the same setups for Thinking Men. A-Site, barely pierced beginning round. This is the chance for Blinn to make that turnaround factor. They have the weapons to destroy Vic's wall. It comes up too late. Paint, good to stop at least the info gathering. But look at this. Paint could throw this op away and go for the showstopper. Oh,
Yeah,
but
kind
he's
of
gonna hold on.
Hand the reins over. There's another huge lurk from Monty. There's no way it's not checked at some point. Anderson is gonna get around to it eventually, but it's too little too late. And Monty has very much control of this B site. Reform needs to shut this down like now. Can't do it. Monty good for 2 now. Puppy guarding this B site like it's his job, which it might become it if Blinn make it to 13.
I mean, look, you don't have a Cypher, you don't have a KJ, that's gonna happen.
Free plant. Paint's gonna let go of the showstopper, wait for the smoke to dissipate. Actually, just toss it onto Spike. Nothing doing on the damage. Monty, make it 3 now. And Paint, yeah, I mean, after letting go of the ult especially, you need to watch for the lurk, and then GTFO, Okeanos falls, and that's all that'll happen here. This Paint will clutch onto that operator, and Blinn will get their second round.
Big win condition right now for Blinn is to take advantage of these lurks. Vix, every single round, has been in the same exact spot, walling A-Site. And the only 2 picks that were against Blinn that last round was Paint. Everybody else seemingly caught off guard with that Monty lurk deep up in A-Site. You cannot let that happen if you're Thinking Men. You don't have a Cypher. Again, you don't have a Killjoy. You don't have that native utility that can stall that lurk in its tracks. You do have this guy, though, and that could be good for some early information, but where will Lear play into this next round? That's going to be a hard read. Normally top of A heaven. But if we continue to see Monty and Spas change it up round after round, you can't stay in the same consistent place. That makes throwing those birds a big gamble here. Look at these buys, too. Oh, that is across the board.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vix's entire goal is to play for mid. He's going to play for safety. He cannot be traded out. Paint gave it away because he's going to double blast pack, in theory, through mid with the Stinger. Oh, no, not double blast pack yet. As soon as contact's made, he's going to be right up in Blinn's face.
He might actually get up there now. Oh, he's going to try, yeah. And the Seekers to counter that. Very, very proactive play here, but the Paint Shell's tossed in reaction, and the spray through the smoke is very helpful. Huge damage done to just about everybody. T going to have to use most of that regrowth in order to get Blinn back to full. So they can try this all over again, just in time for another snakebite to get launched, and Paint to poke his head out of the sand again. Blinn College really toying with things, but they understand how valuable this push is and how much they'll need to do it if they want to take this half more convincingly. Reformed opening on the flash, and the rest of the team to support. Just hold your gunfire. It'll work in the end. Spaz 1v5, everybody staring him down. Daggers! But not necessarily one to end the game yet. Thinking that a little closer, though.
I mean, you got to give it to the perseverance of Blinn. They really tried to get in the B site.
They wanted it, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, even if they wanted to rotate over to A, the whole plan was that Vix kept that op, would rotate, take screens control and just wait. Now Paint returns with that operator once more. Is he going to play top A ramp? I really like this angle if he does. He's playing a scarier angle though. Okeanos could blast pack right into his face. That's going to be so hard for an op to hit. But there we go. Slow down. Flashes on flashes. Okeanos chooses not to go ramps.
Well, he'll hold it, try to go for tower instead, but that's already been abandoned. Okeanos gonna hop into the cubby, and it catches Pain off guard. Vix is forced to shoot into the smoke for the rest of the push, and this is classic Blinn attack. And it works. Boy, does it work. Only losing one so far. The Viper's Pit for good measure. I don't think you need it, but at that rate, why not?
I mean, Anderson Blinn needs this round.
Yeah, no, they really do. They need something to hold on to, and this is a good grapple so far. Anderson, any gun to get rid of is a valuable one. The question is, where can he find it? Maybe he doesn't think he can find it anywhere. Especially with that dog getting heard. He might just need to abandon ship here.
Yeah, he's
Play for
discovered.
exits. Yup.
He can't sneak inside the pit anymore. I mean, it was a weird Viper's Pit. I get the reasoning why, like, that was the procedure going into the round, but that kind of shows how dedicated they are to the strat book. Does Anderson survive this? No. No weapon saved.
Hooray!
But you won't have that for the rest of the half either. It was a valuable round. Blinn did need to convert 3. They're one step away from bringing it home. This could be a chance for Thinking Men to go for a timeout now to make sure it doesn't become a tied scoreline, but look, they've been going for some very unorthodox ones all the entire series too. But I will say though, Cosmic Divide in the possession now of Thinking Men hadn't made a big large showing the last time they played against each other. However, this time a much more proactive Thinking Men could definitely use it to sever this pure aggression outside of A.
Cage trigger.
Maybe not so much this round. Back to the defaults yet again.
Here.
Reformed is sticking around for a while here. Paint very aggressive for Okeanos to just hop in. Beautiful with the paranoia. And just turns right back around to take care of Paint too. Why not get it both?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's such a great duelist.
Oh, Anderson? He's poking up. Monty has dialed back so far. Has the right read here. Astra alone in this world. No friends to help out just yet.
Scout destroyed.
Vix is not scoped, but Okeanos has the paint shells, so that should take care of him. Forces the swing. Can still finish off
Anderson.
one. Ooh, tough timing.
This is good. A reset in play. Heard completely. Very loud for the rotate over to A side. Cosmic Divide could leverage the odds here with spacing, but Lear needs to live.
Oh, big
2v2?
chase down. Lear's gonna try and re-up it. Knows where at least 2 of these players are, but can't finish a fight on either one. It's Anderson's turn to try his hand at it. Gets Mikey. Fatigue is gonna duck out hard. And Spaz
info.
takes his seat at main. Yeah, I mean, you have to clear out literally everything here. And he has 0 stars to do it. Spaz can just poke his head back out. And get Blinn to already what is how many rounds they got on the attack last time that they played on Split against Thinking Men.
Whew. I mean, at least now, compared to Ascent, there is like a viable strategy for both these teams. Thinking Men right now, maybe less of a stall, more so just a big spiderweb trap routine inside mid. We see that all the time with defensive teams on this map. But Blinn, their timings and the rotations are a lot different from most other teams. Part of that has to do with the Sage Wall that's been occurring outside A. It's denying Mikey the chance to rotate really far in. No Sage Wall this time. Big gamble stack mid and B for Thinking Men. Oh, Mikey doesn't dedicate to the lurk though. He could go back eventually and he will. All this now, this util dump for Blinn to buy time for Mikey to scale up. If there is no Sky Flash top A ramp to hit Mikey, that might be a go to snake to A site. There is no Sky top of A heaven. However, it's looking like a split push. That Viper Wall doesn't seem too convincing there. Good. A good start. Lear's gone.
Again, just nutty reaction time from Okeanos. And, I mean...
Call's been made to be.
Yeah, Mikey's not going to snake through ramp. Instead, he'll just head through C, or through T, rather. Oh, no. Okay, different call made. Oh, new plan.
Okay. Good mid-rounding. Good. See, this is the most important part of this map between these two. It's the mid-rounding. Completely flipping the script, changing it up, and now suddenly, hey, Reformed, yeah, might have some problems on your hands.
Oh, he's
a
getting very
two-front
close with
war.
this. He's going to caddy corner himself in the cubby here. Mikey is going to check it first. Reformed actually will grab one. Genuinely impressed by his ability to do
30
that.
seconds
But
left.
Blinn will grab site for free here, can kind of let anybody lurk anywhere. They are going to station Monsi at the vents. But Vix with his res, yeah, you're wondering when Thinking Men are going to use these ultimates. They're going to be able to at least get the free res onto Lear, who does have a bird in the bank, so can open up this site to a degree. Very helpful in the long run here. But so is Monsi with this hold. Inside the tower,
like
Cosmic Divide to cut the noise and make sure that the main hold is not nearly as effective. Now comes the big boy swing from Thinking Men. Okeanos is a bigger boy, though, and can deal with nearly all of it by himself. Spaz the refrag onto Lear. Anderson, once again, so much work. 0 stars to do it. Blinn College are in the lead.
I mean, that was a great Cosmic Divide, all things considered, right? You gave just enough room for, well, maybe you didn't want to, for Monsi to have that ropes control into A Heaven. You did cut off, I believe, one defender. Everybody else was locked to sight. You're hoping to flood in, make sure no escape options, no long-term angles for anyone to work off of, at least against the attack. But no, not quite to be. 3 rounds in a row now for Blinn. Showstopper available for Okeanos. Where's he gonna go? He's waited a good solid 30 seconds before employing it before. They're gonna look to see if they can scale up mid first. Okay, smoke goes down. Still the default in play. Mid-rounding so important for Blinn. They haven't dedicated anything just yet.
Bomb buddy out.
Again,
Okeanos is gonna go for the showstopper.
They're sticking around really long here, man. This is terrifying. Okeanos, oh, bad timing. This time going in favor of Thinking Men. Reformed can grab Lear on the run back. But
That hesitation, man.
I mean, now the Vipers pit up to guarantee that you can't re-aggress mid, but at that point, Blinn College, they're already setting their sights on a main line anyway. And Anderson once again stands alone. Payne is here to rescue him, but it's a little too late. Monsi entering on the Paranoia to clear house, and a beautiful blind giving him entry onto the rest of site. Second one for Reformed. Blinn, mountains out of each molehill, they make a player, and they turn it into a gorgeous snowball that just continues to roll. Vix will save, give Blinn the 6th, and easy access to eco, ult distribution, perfection on the macro for the rest of the half.
Yeah, absolutely. Okeanos falls too. You don't need your entry ability. You know exactly where Thinking Men like to place themselves because they haven't changed a whole lot. You use that Viper Wall to your advantage. You isolate out the Astra who locks in B site. Thinking Men have a great roster, but on Split's defense, they don't change their agent placements really often. Astra will always be in the same spot. Vix will always sit in the same spot. Maybe albeit a 1-round difference that we had seen. All the while though, Blinn, like you mentioned, the macro level, they can form back together and push as a gigantic ball that cannot be stopped.
Bro, how did Vix see that? He had the big banner in his way.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Come on, Vix.
Check his PC.
Oh, 6-4 now. Blinn, the most positive I think we have seen them so far this entire series. Thinking Men have to go for a timeout. They're the ones on the back heel. They have to start playing more proactive. We saw a little bit of that inside of Mailroom, but again, taking down Oki was just a start. Now you have to worry about 4 different ultimates that can absolutely suppress you these next 2 rounds. The buys are not going to be fantastic, so you need a way to leverage that space back. Remember, Anderson, he's locked into B site. He has found impact scaling up into B main and taking that 1v1 against Monsi. Now, did he win those 1v1s? It's been a little back and forth, but at the very least, you're stalling a little bit more time against these attackers. That's the true pinnacle of what you're trying to bring out anyways, but they're just failing to stall after the mid-round.
Yeah, I think Anderson is doing his job, even if he's just dying on site, but yeah, there's simply not enough time for the rest of Thinking Men to kind of reassert themselves on the site.
I mean, the rotates are hard, and you're leaving your Astra on an island. He has to do something to take that extra space. He has to take an angle to catch somebody off guard. A lot of these end-round fights have been, what, a 5, maybe 4vx, like 2, 3 at times it feels. It's just a spray down. But let's see now. Defensive Viper Wall now set up for A site. Blocking out top ramps, and of course the entry too. No smokes just yet, just early Cyber Cage util. Lurk is now mid. That's a new one. Bidoki, double blast pack, showstopper could very well take ramps back.
There it is. Dog, perfect reaction. Has to use the second one a little late. And Paint's ready to intercept. Spaz the immediate refrag, and ramp control is still arguably Blin's. Now there's no argument. Reformed has to let go of this and let Tower be a little more open to Blin. But with Spike not grabbed, instead, there's a rotation in TP in order to B-site now, where Thinking Men have completely let themselves off the pedals of.
Shadows traveling.
Oh, look at these Seekers. That late one spotted out at least one more. And now the reposition from Teague. He can hide and wait for vents. And remember, the closest one to sight is Vix with a Bucky. That's going to be so difficult to push sight. You have to wait now for the rest of your teammates in heaven. And Teague can go for that slow crawl upwards. He has, what, one flash too.
Oh, they recognize the Teague is still here, but Reform can't deal with him instantly, so that fight's going to be elongated. Thinking Men would rather just hop onto site and get this Band-Aid off. Especially with the time so low at this stage. Spaz holding it down in the double smoke, and the garage clear is going okay too. Thinking Men, they just try and hold it down in the Nebula. Reform can play guard dog just long enough to let Vix hold it the whole way through. And Thinking Men grab a fifth by the skin of their teeth.
A great dissection of 1v1s yet again. Blin, they have the same positions normally in their post plants, and bringing down that single star on top of the spike is something a lot of defender controllers will do. Now, as an attacker in the post plant, you have to consider, what, 360 different angles, kind of in theory? I mean, you could break it down to 4 different angles too, but you have to clear 4 different sides that you may not have visibility of anymore. And it just allows someone to circle around and take those 1v1s away. Could this be a fast 4-stack into B? Anderson's playing that same position. Okeanos, though, not looking for the entry. Has the operator instead. This is a slow play for Pix Procedure to make sure they get this half. 7-5. Anderson, timing? No. Not quite.
Imagine.
Honestly, I think Oki's hit shots like that before. Okay, some info gained, though, off of that one dog. That's going to be against the Cypher.
You're telling me Mikey's over there?
What? Oh!
There we go.
Guard. Anderson falls. That's huge. Does that mean the initiation back over to B? We've seen these fakes before where they slowly entrench their way forwards, but Okeanos gives that spike away. He's just looking for one more to guarantee the safety. 48 seconds left on the clock. Time is of the essence for Blin. They're just waiting for Mikey and Co to rotate over for the full stack to push in.
I mean, you know, the stage is set. It just comes down to having the players ready for it. There's the paint shells. Tough ricochet. Trying to clear out Reformed, but now that you haven't, he's still a danger. He's still a threat. He's up for 2 now. And will enter early to try and find Muncie on the shorty. Can grab that too. Refragged all the way through though, so Blin's still making a 2v2. Early showstopper launched out by Paint, and it's launched even earlier when he spots the shoulder of Mikey. It's not enough to grab the kill. Lear having a bit of fun with the Cupid shuffle down the rafter to maybe keep Spaz guessing, but Blin College are unfettered, unfaltered, and they have 7 coming out of the attacking half.
Hey, look, big lessons learned coming out from Blin into that attacking half. They found that B-side wasn't changing a whole lot at all. Again, Anderson would play the same exact position. Would he play his life? Absolutely. I do agree with you there. But the smokes and the stall for a single agent could only last so long. That goes to show the lurks very effective for Thinking Men. From Blin, preventing Thinking Men to really overact and make a move because they have so many lanes to watch without a Cypher, without a Killjoy. But now as we swap sides, that won't be as much of a problem. Vix has that anti-flank wall util. Will it be anti-flank? We'll have to wait and see. Someone has to hold it though, but it's a lot easier to hold one lane than, what, 6, 7 that you would on defense? All that attacking wall comes up. The skate back over. One's entire plan was to push up mid and wait for the fights that will never come. It's all silent now. Tripwire's broken. The first bit of intel that Blin have this entire half. And look at this response now. Vents would be the easy route. Instead, now it's going to be a slow trek across sewers for the gigantic flank.
They know with that Sage Wall, they have to take the long way, at least for this round. They cannot fight it out. So they'll go for the very long-winded pinch after Thinking Men get the spike down, but look at how far this excursion is. And again, the freedom that a pistol round allows. Really beautiful stuff, especially for Anderson, who finds quite a bit of connection. Paint can finish it up. And there's your vent presence, Connor, or your sewer presence, rather. Here's the rest of the team. Tegan Monsi, quick clear. And Thinking Men make it 6-7, lickety split.
Full expectation that if no one's on A site when the spike goes down, okay, there's gotta be a flank. They know we don't have that primary sentinel. So great double hold. Anderson got one, he fell, Paint got the rest, and it just leveraged the rest of what was on the attack. Well, I'm sorry, for the defense to not really find a whole lot of impact afterwards directly on site. This is going to continue to be mind games. Will there be an opportunity for the flank? Probably not. That's going to be how the pistol starts. Again, Blinn, primary focus now. Looking to find those early fights. Flash should come out now from A ramp. They have B side completely gone. Mikey's camera. This is everything. Instead of having an Astra, it's just going to be a singular piece of util. Not a lot of info gathering without giving themselves away either. They don't know about that camera just yet, until maybe now. Big default. Just waiting. Thinking Men understand that they need this next round, even if they have the weapons advantage. They can't squander it away and possibly give anything over to Blinn. And snowball those rounds again to ruin their qualification chances.
Seems that Blinn, ultimately with the timer low, are going to stack up for A site. They might just play for the 50.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably just play for, like, the spike detonation.
Yeah,
they have
that's what
classics. I'm thinking. They have almost no utility.
Unless Thinking Men don't go for B site, they might want to, like, hurry up and do that.
They got 40 seconds. They got time.
Blinner heading through sewer and vents. Reformed can crash one and now sees the humongous amount of presence. Yeah, Anderson makes the call. It's everybody here. And as the spike ticks down, Blinn do see an opening to actually fight this out. They're going to go for it, but Lear will quickly dissuade that option as well. A tower hold that will eventually get to the point that we all thought we were going to get to, a 7-7 game.
Hey, to be fair, it was a good attempt. You removed two bodies off of Thinking Men. You had that body advantage. Did you have the gun advantage? No. But you could have if you slowly started acquiescing those players' weapons, but wasn't to be. Lear was there for the hold. But each round now, again, keep an eye on these flanks. That's what Blinn have been able to do on a macro level. They're waiting to see where the opposite site will go, and they're taking that space back. Pretty similar to what happened quite a bit, except with the opposite team on Ascent. Paint was so good about doing that on his own defensive side. Now these are where the real fights start. Oh, hi!
Goodbye, Monsi. And, okay, hello, Okeanos. He'll just wipe that up off the floor real quick. A little blemish. That should be the only one that Blinn experienced. Mike cornered away by Vix with the help of the dog, and Lear watching screens. Thinking Men gate crash the whole way through, and it's them who have the advantage. Walking onto site freely. Spaz, one smoke in hand for this post plant, and a very important clutch in the making as it appears. We'll hear the drop. Easy first kill on the Vix, but that's just so Reformed can spot up and finalize. 8-7 Thinking Men.
One heck of a bonus that you need there if you're Thinking Men. 3 rounds in a row now. A complete differential from what Ascent had happened, where you just couldn't really get much going. In Blinn, they're holding the angles, but they're getting denied this line of sight so often. The flash in, the opening pick coming out from Pain, a Bucky in your face. It's been a different cog in the wheel every round from Thinking Men, yes, and Blinn have had a hard time reacting to it. Now there's that hold on B. Once again, Thinking Men parsing out what information they can gather, what the easier site could be to hit. Like he was taken down fairly early on. The buys here not great again for Blinn, and Thinking Men can take advantage. Still taking it slowly though. Smoke comes down mid. You two would need to be expelled if you want to have the chance to take out that crossfire that's no longer crossed. Gathering around B side now. Still no information about where Thinking Men's approach can be, except for those 2 stars in mid. That's enough of a deterrent to take Blinn away from those default angles. It's non-committal too. Oh, this is the push out.
Yeah.
Paint's already set up and ready.
They're going for it. They have a paranoia. They expect Paint to hold here. Not in time. But Spaz is still up and running, so we'll smoke in order to escape. Gonna choose to fight this. Spaz gets in front of it. Risk with no reward, unfortunately, and Paint's just gonna hop right in. Let's keep it going. 3 kills now for the Rays. And with the heal,
An ace?
there is a road. Yeah, I mean, you know, for the culture at this point, why not? Wall thrown up. Yeah, you still gotta get the spike down and, like, win this round. In the meantime, Anderson can find Michael in the tower. That is very premature. Well done, man. And Teague, yeah, throwing hands at the world. Cannot do it. 9-7 now for Thinking Men. What a path that they have suddenly blazed to flipping challengers, dude. 4 rounds out. This is nuts.
It's literally what they did on Sunset, right? They just played it slow in the beginning. They're waiting to see if Blind's going to overextend. Sometimes they do, only on thrifty rounds or broken buys. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, let's use whatever info gathering we have to see, like, is it easy for us to take ramp control? Can we go for a power play and disrespect Mikey's util on A-side? Maybe. But there hasn't been a lot of rounds where they've really needed to do that either, because a lot of these buys from Blind have been broken. Timeout's been called here. This is going to be an important round again for Blind to make sure, okay, we have to watch out for Paint's double blast pack in the beginning. Lear's follow-up flash has been so good. They're waiting out the timer and not giving away any opening fights that could be silly against Thinking Men. This is turning into Gunfight City again, Tenrek. It's just like Ascent all over again.
Yeah, and it doesn't come from a sense of, like, being tired. It comes from a sense of, like, running out of options for either team. Because, like, you can't go for the cheeky angles anymore. People aren't forgetting to check their corners or forgetting to, like, have a smoke on hand for when you actually push in or whatever. It's like
fighting a mirror.
Yeah.
Except you don't really want to do that.
Right.
Just shatter your hand and be down 2 rounds.
This goes here.
Okay, cyber cages are down. I like what Blind's doing here. They're relying more so on this early utility to deny ramps and to deny a main push and just stay off of sight. This early bird from Teague. Not coming out yet. The wall is up.
They want to give away minimal intel right now because of that showstopper. They are so terrified.
They are, but you need to know where this push could come from too. You need to know the timings. Poison Cloud's open. Mikey doesn't see anything just yet.
Okay,
Lear does have the Seekers, and Paint should follow up with the showstopper off of it.
This is such great hesitation from Thinking Men. The dog is tossed and doesn't get any intel. Smoke as well, and that's mainly just because Blind doesn't hear anything B main, so they're not going to shift their weight at all. It just comes down to how much util they can burn. Flash out into lobby, that should be the confirmation, so it's going to be a full committal for Thinking Men. Seekers launched, Blind launched, Viper Wall thrown up in response, Dog to get through that trap wire, but the barrier orb tossed up so Thinking Men can still try to breach the tower, but might be too little too late of a fight as Anderson has not scored his way in through main yet, which is crucial in order to make sure that that pitch can fully happen. Paint's actually going to let go of the showstopper here, see if he can track anyone down. Monsi waiting patiently in these sips and is able to get reformed out of it. Paint will finally spot Mikey, but damage is already done from the tower, and Thinking Men, they just have to get on site, see what they can make of it. Oh, Vix is locked out by the blast pack. The damage might activate in time. Okeano's playing with his food, can't finalize, but with Spike down, Thinking Men still have to disperse a little collectively, and into the back site. Lear will head early. Anderson having to swing this early too. Thinking Men have to get ahead of this, and they do! Everyone gets ahead of it, and it works perfectly! All 3 members stay standing, and the road has never been clearer. 3 rounds away from the Challengers League.
So tantalizing they can taste it. Again, a flawless attacking side thus far from Thinking Men. They've yet to be stopped, even when the odds seem to be against them. For that last round, Thinking Men, of course, the ultimate's so important, but just parsing out where the spacing that they haven't taken back control could be is where Blind should initiate that retake from. They had Heaven control. They had ramps. They had the flank. Okay, it has to be the screen triple peak. We gotta go for it. Really good from Thinking Men. All this time, still having those micro plays, and it continues! You've lost your smokes! What? Now Monsi, the shoulders are on him! Oh no! That's a terrible start!
Amazing
Besides
job from
empty!
Vix. I mean, that's just such a great read. Something we've seen Thinking Men carry to the brink time and time again.
And you know what? That gives a big tell to Thinking Men that this is a thrifty round from Blind. The only times they push up within the first minute are on these broken buy rounds.
Which is why this cross is getting held upside mid. They know it's going to be big. Here will spot all 3 backs of the remainder. And so Paint can can finish up. Okay, it is messy, but they will finish up.
I got the spike.
Mikey, the only one remaining, and Vix is already very far on a B site, blocking out Link first, so only has to stare up. And he's actually got a booster seat from that barrier orb, too. We're getting a little funny here. We're doing some silly mode stuff.
There we go, Grim. Good job, good job.
Yeah! Dude, he's done so much for this community. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it was impressive. Mikey was really looking for those default crossfire angles there. But unfortunately, again, because you're on top of that wall, it's a very different angle than you're normally anticipating. Plus, look, you're at a body and weapon disadvantage. Mikey was pretty much out of options. And now, again, Thinking Men can do whatever they want. They've yet again to lose an attacking round. They're just running around Blinn. They've done everything thus far. The entire strat book is empty, not because of counterplay, but because they just want to keep Blinn on their toes, and it's working.
It should be noted that up until they faced off against Blinn here, Thinking Men were also undefeated on Split. Like, this is nothing new for them.
Makes sense.
They know this so well. And Blinn did a great job of denying Thinking Men's initial tactics of having the lurk chases, having the peeks, and now it's Blinn who has to enact that early counter-aggression. And while it works very well, while it won a lot of duels earlier on, it cannot carry them over the line this time. Thinking Men are too keyed in. They have played too much Valorant today.
Okeanos might have a timing here. Even if that Viper Wall from the attack comes up, he might be able to get the swing here.
Screen. When's gonna fall? Now. Goodbye, Reformed.
You will not
1 down.
kill my
4 to go.
ally.
5 to go. Vix reses.
Okay.
And we'll hop right back in. Showstopper is still
Showstopper.
free. Yeah, you can slow down a lot here if you're Okeanos, but Thinking Men in response, they'll just head up the tower instead. Forgot to clear the trap wire so T can take some free pot shots. Instead, we'll just press that instead. I love Thinking Men. Just, whenever Blinn asks a battle of them, Thinking Men, they will engage a war. But Mikey is here to save the day. Pain. Trying to get a little crazy with it. Mikey, a little crazier. 3 kills for the Cypher, leading to advantage Blinn. Anderson quite low. And Blinn have the crunch up to the back of tower, so this Astra is stranded for the pinch. Okeanos wins out that duel. Vix can get the plant, but what else could you possibly manifest from this round if you are Vix? You have 1 slow orb to your name.
Oh, if Vix can get the timing here, that's the bulk of this retake. No information up until now. No, Vix, no, don't do it. Ali was your perfect solution. Thinking one's on flank. Not the right play.
All right.
Okeanos. I mean, okay. Few things to break down that round, right? Viper's pick came down mid. That stalled out Thinking Men enough. They can't push into it. They don't want to take that risk. They can't risk an early fight. They don't want to take away someone like Paint's life. That's fair. But after taking ramps control and being sandwiched in by defender spawn and A-side proper, normally the call would be for an attacking team to fast push through vents over into B heaven. You can't do that. The Viper's pit was still alive. That's why we saw all those wacky antics trying to take defender spawn control that you never ever really see in this game. And it just it just brought chaos to Thinking Men. But now that Viper's pit's gone, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Big 3-person hold here. A good gamble. It's looking aggressive.
Yeah, Spaz is going to immediately meet this, as it seems. What a fun paranoia this would be if it connects properly. There's a bird instead. That'll work a little better, especially if Lear tosses out this dog and gives everyone away. Spaz only good for 1. Teague blocked out by the screen. Thinking Men minimize damage. Boombot sacrificed to get rid of Monsi, at least for now. But Thinking Men have no clear entry yet, and the toxic screen does not guarantee it either. It only could give them vents, which it looks like they're going to take. Oh, no, the Cosmic Divide. Do they lean even more into this? It looks like they're going to try and take tower instead. Yeah, Monsi is forced out from screens. He has to re-enter, and he'll still grab 1. In the meantime, it's Anderson who has to once again make this push through man, and he's only good for 1, too. Oh, in the back, and Mikey doesn't lose those either. Blinn College are certainly back.
Oh, and remember, a big long streak of rounds won by Thinking Men. All that stopped now, a 2-point differential. That's how impactful Blinn was on their own attacking side. And shutting down Thinking Men here. on the precipice, maybe of an overtime, if Blin can continue to keep this going. And remember, the only true stall we have seen so far from this attack, Thinking Men is losing out on ramps. Great use of the Cosmic Divide, unwilling again to take that Vents control, despite the fact there was no defensive hold, no Viper's Pit available inside mid that last round. And you went up against Mikey, dude. You know how it goes. Michelangelo knows what's up. He was rotated. He was set up on B. That wasn't even an A-side play from him. These holds now, these more outwards, aggressive angles, yeah, thank you, production, are just supreme from Blin. They're taking these 1vXs unbelievably well. And Thinking Men, they're rushing too far into this. They're over-engineering and they're tunnel visioning. They have to take this moment to slow it back down again. Work those defaults. Go back to what won them that long streak of flawless rounds, to not go fast. The tempo change didn't work.
This goes here.
Yeah, let Blin open up to you whenever they're ready.
Oh, this is a nice one.
It takes a while sometimes.
Yeah, these players, they're sensitive. They have a lot of emotions running through them. Sometimes it can take them some time to open up, but just wait for them and they'll come. Okeanos, good noise made. But if anything, that just, keeps him... Oh, he's just going to peek this again.
Yeah, and the one-way setup now, he won't be able to find an angle. Anderson's already pushed in. A complete blind spot for Oki.
Oki expects this, though. Okay, Anderson is able to shut that down. That's actually massive for Thinking Men here.
The flash peek. Mikey's going to look at the cam for the flash peek.
Oh, good smoke to make it so the timing can't be as exact. And the barrier orb as well. Thinking Men shut down rather than prioritize the kill. And it'll lead to so much more control. Viper's Pit up the tower. This is fun from Reformed. I'm a huge fan of this.
I like this. Now it spills down into ropes. You have that reposition power behind pillar. You know where these defenders need to come in from. And you can rotate very quickly from sight back to alley. Oh, there they all are.
Yeah, Vic's the first line thrown away with a simple snake bite to flush them out, and now it's a bit chaotic. But that's what Blin needs to lean into. Anderson, good dancing around the boxes to keep it easy for him and the rest of Thinking Men, who are on match point for 3 strong rounds on this attack.
This is the final moment of destiny.
True to form. A great correction from Thinking Men to slow down and not tunnel vision anymore. Like you mentioned, that timing from Anderson smokes. We weren't sure where Anderson would fit into this new matchup because the stakes were so high. He is slotting in perfectly and allowing these pop exits from Thinking Men. After a very slow beginning, they're parsing it out again. They removed Okeanos. The op was gone. B site so much more open than before. But now they're at 12. Thinking Men can't squander this lead. They cannot play fast again, and that makes me worried that they're already laying down that gunfire. Oki hiding in a deep corner up above. Spaz does have that paranoia set up and ready to maybe disrupt the opening engagement.
They want to make sure you don't see Okeanos as long as possible. Showstopper gone. Paint out of the picture. But Blin, they won't double press this.
No,
they'll keep themselves locked in.
Secondary attack now. Up in heaven. Monty's aware of the pressure. Still sticking to B.
Anderson, first fight won. You dip back out. Thinking Men do not have certainty on this part of the site. They cannot completely unlock tower without first clearing out garage. And Lear's already given himself away with the fact that a bird gets tossed in. Okeanos is forced behind the tower for a little while in order to make sure that he can have this 1v1 so you can swing on a Link better. Lear wins that duel on the front line too, and that might be all they need. The rest of Blin is here, but they could simply be witness to your new Challengers team, the final one added to our collection for 2024. Thinking Men have made it through, but what a battle it was.
Absolutely. One small change at the very end, you slow it down, you get rid of those critical fights, and again, the individual plays from Thinking Men were absolutely supreme. Sure, you could say that a lot about both these teams in the 2 series they fought each other through, but Thinking Men again, they were able to reign supreme. And finally, they can get their revenge after Blin won 14-12 against them just yesterday on the same exact map. Very close to overtime again, not quite the case, and the Zippo replay shows exactly how Thinking Men can divide and conquer.
just goes to show they aren't just thinking men, they're learning men, and they learn quickly. Challengers teams that are leagues ahead of thinking men, and granted, there are at the moment, beware, this team will catch up to you quickly in a league where all they have to worry about is these other 11 teams, let alone every single other one in the Open Qualifier bracket. This is a dangerous addition to the Challengers League, and I am so happy to see it. Of course, so many props to Blinn College, who really gave it their all. That is their third match that they got to play in for contention, I believe, and they really gave it their all every step of the way. But Thinking Men have made it over the finish line and are your 12th and final team in 2024 Challengers NA.
Look at those post-plan stats right there.
Wow.
That was so down to the wire. And you know what? It's really similar to what we called just a little while ago, right? Each map became progressively much more end-around sided. More and more and more, to the point where, again, 7 out of 8 post plants, you really need to convert those. We started seeing the spike become much more of a priority towards the very end of this series. But Blinn gave a little too much room to Thinking Men, way too much there. And again, Thinking Men, they're so good about taking those 1vx's, and that really carried them to the finish line.
Yeah, really, like, and it's really microscopic moments too. Like when you know, a lot of it came down to timing. In fact, you know, taking that one step back or turning around to that one wrong moment. Okeanos, very deserved of that top frag position for Blinn College, the most consistent out of the pack, and just making sure that Blinn always were able to at least get that pick, and it shows 7 first picks. But Anderson ended up being a very instrumental part of this Thinking Men roster exactly when he needed to be. And defensively, I think he had it all figured out from the jump. Just playing B long a majority of the time, winning your fights a majority of the time, which he actually did this time. And just playing around your smokes a lot better, even when you don't have any. But, you know, in the meanwhile, on the offense, Anderson's ability to block out these sight lines, specifically on towers, so that Thinking Men were able to play for that low ground a lot more often. We didn't see that before. They really wanted to vie for tower control last time around. They just, it's such a drastic shift that Thinking Men used to take over this match in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Thinking Men themselves, you know, even the maps that they had won, they still went back, they found their mistakes, they really heavily adapted around them, especially on Sunset. The perfect example about winning a map, taking what you learned against yourself and make sure the scoreline was blown away. So far different. And to go back to your point about Anderson, absolutely. The stall potential was there. I do think he played for his life a little too much at times, but the communication of the sacrificial plays of his Astra still was instrumental in making sure that Thinking Men, losing one of their most critical players, could still bring it back like a Hydra. And with that being said, we know our players for Challengers. That's it, the qualifiers are over. So many weeks, so much drama, so much gunplay, and so many heartbreaks and successes now. And really now, the only thing that we can look forward to is Challengers itself.
It's true. While it is a month away and VCT kickoff is maybe a little more in our vision at the moment, we cannot wait to watch all of this come to a head for the North American League. We will see SAD Esports, YFP Gaming, the Glazers, Winthrop University, Core Gaming, Thinking Men, and you right back here for North American Challengers. We appreciate your time in these 3 days. We appreciate your time in the previous 3 for all of this beautiful Valorant we've gotten to play. We are so excited for what 2024 has in store. Until then, get some sleep, including the pros who are actively in chat right now. Please, God, get some sleep. We got some more Valorant to play tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.